down. It doesn't matter what your composition is. It doesn't matter what your bank is. It doesn't matter how many bases you have. He will make the right set of units. He will hit you with ghosts over and over. And like, you have to find a kill timing on him where you have out-macroed him and break through his defenses.
And there is that new Kirk at set 3. It does make its way into this matchup, and that's... I can think of several TY games against other Zergs where he's like, all right, we're split map. A lot of Terrans are really pulled up right here, but as Dan said, you're going to have to face this ghost, and he just has such incredible control.
All right, guys, our game is ready to go. This is TY versus Scarlett, a best of 5 in the GSL versus the world.
Take me home, Tasteless.
We're back together already. I missed you.
Finally.
Finally. In the upper left, in the blue, our Terran player, he is
Splice TY.
in the bottom right, in the red from Canada, she is
Team Expert, Scarlett.
Oh, so tasteless.
Ah, Artosis.
Oh.
Are you ready for this?
I think so. What do you think actually occurs here? What is the final score and why?
Okay, well, here's. I know that I think a lot of the people, especially the ones watching this stream, are going to be rooting for Scarlett, but I think Neeb had a better shot against SOS. Then I think Scarlett does not have as well of a shot against TY.
Okay.
I think this is very tough. One is that SOS versus Neeb was a mirror matchup.
Yeah.
And Neeb, we've already seen he's got this big resume of accomplishments in
especially
TvP.
in PvP,
yeah, exactly. Now Scarlett's CVT is good. I just feel like against TY, he is really solid. I think some of this will be Scarlett deflecting what TY does early on, and then if Scarlett can get the tech that she wants, then she'll be able to possibly punish TY.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, but we've had some surprises already here in the GSL versus the world. This series could definitely be one of them.
Yeah, it could be. Like, I'm not counting Scarlett out by any means. She's like an extremely good and extremely intelligent player, so when I say I think TY is the smartest in the world, that's not excluding her from making good enough decisions to beat him. But the problem I see, like, for instance, the close match with Innovation, like, it did end up to her, like, kind of throwing away a lead at one point, right? But she was able to stay on par with Innovation macro-wise and all this. But the thing is, like, TY, he sees you're doing something like Lingbane Hydra. Is he going to be attacking into it like we sometimes see Byun do against Cyril? No, he's not. He's going to back up. He's always going to make tactically and strategically the right call, and I think that makes it really hard for a macro player to beat him. I think you got to be almost like a very aggressive player, knock him out before he gets all his tools, because once he has those tools...
I totally agree with what you're saying, Artosis.
Yeah.
God, you're good, Artosis.
Oh, my God. I'm just such a fan of TY. He's so smart. He is the Nesty of our time, Tasteless.
I know.
Truly.
Well, he really is. I don't know, man. Let's see what Scarlett can come up with. By the way, Artosis, is this the one that controls my volume? I'm a little bit too soft in my headset here.
Buddy.
Is this it?
That's it.
Okay, I can hear us much better now. I had to turn that up.
At this point...
There's been too many times we're broadcasting together, and I'm actually fiddling with the dial on Artosis' headset, and he's giving me this crazy angry look, so I'm trying to... Yeah, I gotta do my strat around that.
Well, it's kind of a funny thing, right? Because we joke about tasteless soundboards from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think with that last time that you just asked me about, is this the right knob, that would have to be on your soundboard.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a rarely used button, but once a week or so. Is this the right switch to fix my volume?
I've basically decided at this point in time I will just always break the fourth wall and know exactly which style's the right one. Instead of us sounding really weird as I try to scramble all the volume dials under this table.
Look, there's no fourth wall for Tasteless. He's a fifth-dimensional creature, all right? He does not screw around with that.
So we got TY moving out here with the 2 Reapers, and the 1 Reaper and the 2 Hellions coming out. Now, there's a medevac follow-up with this. We have seen games where people go for Banshees behind this, but instead he wants to go for something a little bit different. We'll see if Scarlett's going to be ready for that.
Yeah, it's going to be Hellbats. Making the Hellions and the medevac, he can definitely do some Hellion drops and stuff, or even Hellbat drops, but of course healing up those Hellbats is going to be really strong. The Armory is a little bit late, which means it's going to be a lot of Hellbats, but Scarlett makes a lot of Queens. She's definitely one of these creep Zergs, right? That just really want their creep absolutely everywhere on the map, makes a lot of queens early on for those defensive purposes. So I look at this and I say, personally, in my opinion, this is not the greatest strategy against Scarlett. Like, every now and then you're going to get the drones, but she's going to have enough queens that I don't expect this to deal the damage you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised TY is doing this. Not like it's a bad build, but I just don't feel like this is necessarily, at least for me. I mean, TY does know best, but I expected a little bit of a different style here from TY. If Scarlett holds this, she can actually be in a very good spot. You know, sometimes these attacks snowball and the Zerg gets crushed, like we saw yesterday in some of our TVZs. In other games, it's the opposite. The Zerg shuts down everything, the medevacs die.
Well, there's nothing up here right now. Turning into Hellbats,
well,
they're missing some volleys.
Only getting two drones, which is certainly not enough.
Well, the drones are still here for some reason. And let's not forget, there's a bunch of other Hellions. Okay, the Queens head those ones off at the choke here. 4 drones having fallen so far. Some Lings coming in for the surround, while 2 Queens continue to go to town on these Hellions.
Not clear on whether or not these Queens have transfusion. 4 more Queens coming down here from above. Attacks happening everywhere. Again, only 4 drones have been killed off so far.
This is not so bad for Scarlett right now. And in fact, not losing Queens would be a pretty sick thing as well. But some of these Hellions running by right now to the natural. We don't see a lot of units. 10 Lings on the way, but a little bit late.
All right, he's trying right now to get behind the minerals in such a way so that he can't get they can't get surrounded as well. Still, not that many kills. Okay, the next few volleys are going to decide it. 6 drones killed, and finally it does turn into a Hellbat.
Oh,
now here with
look
the
at
Liberator.
that.
That's pretty cute.
God, he's kind of all over the place right now. Really great play here. 10 drones going down, 11 drones going down, 12 drones going down, Liberator going down.
That was some of the best play-by-play
I want to write
heard.
a children's book that's just like that.
You know, that did do a decent amount of damage, and TY also set up a 3rd base behind that. So I think that attack was fine. There were definitely moments I thought the Hellbats or Hellions were actually going to be able to kill more drones, but it didn't turn out to be the case. But I think I'd say Scarlett's a little bit behind in supply, but I don't think it was the end of the world.
Yeah, especially considering what we're seeing here. It is a variation of mech that we're seeing out of TY. This is actually battle mech. He's going for Hellions and he's going for Cyclones. This is an active composition. You've got to be out on the map kind of pushing around. It doesn't mean that you can't transition into a longer macro game with Siege Tanks, Thors, Vikings, stuff like that. But these initial units, at least, TY is going to have to use. But you know, it's such a big map. She's already got great creep spread. I don't expect her to just fall over against this.
I think you did a good job explaining that, Artosis, but I really want to emphasize that to the viewers again. Normally when we think about mech, we expect the players to stay back and turtle and wait until they have a really powerful comp they can push with. This is the opposite of that. He actually wants to just pick fights.
Yeah.
Almost like it was just a standard infantry army, just different units. And he's going to try to come in here right now. Scarlett, she's on the defense here. It looks like we had a graphics.
GG!
Inertio wins! I don't know how that came up on our screen, but...
Surprise!
So, we have this attack continuing on here with Harass down at the main. Some more drones being picked off. I don't believe Scarlett received enough pressure to actually have that 3rd base denied.
Not too much damage there overall, but the Hellions are, you know, something that, like, you don't really need as TY right now, right? Like, you're using them, you're trying to get some damage on, you're trading in some minerals while you continue to build up your army. And in fact, a few Siege Tanks on the way here, as Scarlett has gotten into Hydras at this point and going in for that infestation pit as well.
Okay, again, another push here. Hellions in the front, backed up with Cyclones. Now, there's Hydra Bane, but a lot of times these Hellions can actually chip away at the Banes before they're able to actually do the full-on attack. Again, Hydra Bane, one of the strengths of that is that the damage is done all at once, like right away.
Yeah.
It's not a fight where there's really much time to micro, and a few misclicks, everything falls apart. But of course, you have to have the right position, the right angle if you're going to engage them.
So it's quite true about that. And the Speed Banes actually, like, normally we don't like them against mech that much, but when you have this many Hellions out, they're definitely going to find their uses. Definitely can deal a lot of damage to those, or Hellbats, of course, as well. So not too bad to be seeing that speed on the way for them, but there is a little bit of transitioning going on for TY. He's not staying on that battle mech for too long. He's spending a lot of Hellions out on the map as well.
Okay, TY beginning to push in. Hellions set up over here in the bottom right. Actually doing a lot of damage here to these drones. You know, this is, again, quintessential TY here. Tactically, he's very good.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the big differences between, like, Maru and Beyond. when compared to TY, is I feel like everything is very, very specific and intentional, where Marlo's just so good at dropping everywhere.
Yes.
Especially in these kind of almost impulse moves. He's got good instincts for that, and Beyond's just so good at microing it.
Yeah.
TY's drops seem to just have a very deep understanding
Well,
of how to get in, and there's always a reason why. For instance, he probably evaluated how many more Hydras were there to cover the Banes in that initial push. He says, okay, we're going to drop the Bane now.
Yeah, this is his play. He's the brainiest player that there is right now. Everything he does, there's a rhyme and a reason for everything. Everything is well thought out, and you know he's got good enough mechanics, good enough micro to really back that all up. So these are great moves that we are seeing out of him. But is he going to be able to get anything done here with those siege tanks? Okay. I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, this push is going to be a real threat. Now, TY's maxed out at 200 supply. Scarlett's almost at the max point, but this push is going to initiate before Scarlett has the remaining rest of her army up here. Again, the Baneling's completely shut down. Hydra's now pulling back.
I love the way that TY's playing this, keeping everything in Hellion mode so that he can actually pull back against Banes. And now there are some Swarm hosts coming out, so that definitely can help to push this back against the Siege tanks. You know, Siege tanks not going to do so well against that. But does Scarlett actually have enough to push this back right now? TY's army is quite scary indeed.
Okay, the push is here, but the damage is not being done just yet. And I love the Swarm host response here. This is smart. It's fighting fire with fire in a lot of ways. It puts some stress on the Terran that otherwise would be able to hold this position for a very long period of time.
Are they too late, though, right?
That is the question, because already they're going to be able to damage the hatchery, the Terran army can.
When your first Swarm host volley is trying to push them back as they're at one of your bases, it feels just slightly late for that type of play against mech, but here we go. Scarlett moving in right now. The Hydra's on a great spread. A lot of Speed Banes rolling in as well. TY evacuating a single siege tank.
I can't believe it. Scarlett drove that all the way back. It's only 3 tanks on the high ground. Supplies right now virtually the same, although Scarlett can definitely bank up a little bit quicker, massing out more Swarm hosts. And you know what? With a Terran push like that, you don't get to do that twice in a game normally.
Yeah.
There's going to be enough Swarm hosts out next time that unless you kill them off, you can punish the Terran if they try to hold a certain position.
Well, I think, you know, he does have a position on that high ground and continues to harass. That Liberator got some good work done. Blue Flame Hellions once again to the rescue, trying to kill off as many drones as is possible. But Scarlett still has a good economy. The thing is, I'm looking at this production tab, and I love some of these upgrades that we see TY getting.
Yeah, same here. I mean, TY is
the fact that he's getting Banshee speed, like, that's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, he's getting set up, sort of like we saw in the Neve SOS game, where you get far enough, okay, get every possible upgrade. Anything you can use that's going to help your units, especially when you have Bank coming in like this.
Yeah.
Why not? And you're right, there's going to be a lot of tools at TY's disposal later on that could be punishing to Scarlett if she's not ready. But you know what? So far, so good for Scarlett. She's doing a great job. She's hanging on.
Yeah.
In this game 1, this is a neck-and-neck fight.
And with the amount of Swarm hosts that are coming out on the map, that definitely is a threat. But the Viking count has gotten reasonably high at this point as well. So we're going to have to see some way that you deal with that. You know, this is not exactly Gumiho mech that we're seeing out of TY. It looks like he kind of has his own interpretation of it, going from battle mech into the Viking-based play to keep back the Locust and all that. I like it, and will Scarlett be able to take it down is the real question.
Yeah, that'll be tough. We'll have to see when the actual fight picks up, how it goes. I will say the creep spread's really good, and even though that TY has his position right here in the middle, there's a lot of reach for Scarlett. You know, this is not like a chokehold where nothing in the map can filter through.
Yeah.
And the hatchery's still there, Artosis. I'm wondering if we're about to see the initiation. I think actually we are. As TY is about to max out, but you know, trying to get down on that low ground on that creep. If you notice, the creep tumors are far away enough, you can't actually stop any more creep from the high ground with the siege tanks.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, but if you take
That's
a
true.
look, it's kind of like, well, can Terran ever actually go down there, engaging on creep and getting in the right position?
Not so much.
I don't think so.
I guess holding that position, you have to keep army back to prevent a counterattack, and now to run in with Speed Banshees. Like, do you send army to chase these Speed Banshees? You're not going to catch him unless he's not watching.
Oh, hold up. Well, speaking of which, we actually have a huge attack coming up here. Baneling's connected with that mech army. As the Hydras come in here in the front, it looks like Zerg ultimately loses that fight, and this may force the Zerg to back up, and then Terran maybe can actually push on the low ground. We were talking about this a minute ago, and the Banshees are still doing a ton of damage.
Scarlett's definitely in trouble after that attack. Lingbane Hydra, generally speaking, not going to be good against siege tanks at all, and there was a lot on high ground there. So Now just kind of waiting for more Locusts to pop out. Those Speed Banshees being worth their weight in gold, clearing out an entire base.
Yeah. It's actually, as much as we talk about this big fight in the center, I think it really may be the Banshees that actually win this game, assuming TY does, in fact, win this game. The Hydra's coming in here, hitting these Vikings. The tanks being kited back to try to fend off those remaining Locusts from the Swarm hosts.
The lack of detection for these Banshees has been going on for a while. Finally, an Overseer does pop out, and Scarlett pushes away the Banshees. But one of these bases is going to go down, and as far as counterattack damage goes, there hasn't been any.
Yeah, this has mostly been Scarlett getting beaten up here by TY. And at this point in time, TY has actually grown to have more bases, a better economy than Scarlett. This may be the beginning of the end.
I think you could be right about that, Tasteless. Like, the Swarm hosts have not really paid for themselves inside of this game. That high ground position that TY claimed early on, he has not lost at all yet. Look at this, like, that's a long cooldown. All the Locusts come out, TY's like, no, I'll just back out of here. I'm not going to fight those Locusts. But once the Locusts are gone, Scarlett's army no longer is good.
Yeah, you definitely have to have the Hydra Locust Baneling pairing set up just right, which isn't easy to execute. There's a little bit more flow here for the army movement for TY and how you can engage that. So TY wins game number 1, GG. Let's see what happens in game number 2, Artie.
Okay. I thought that was quite a nice game. I can't really complain on either side, like TY getting some of these advantages through the Blue Flame Hellions, through the drone harassment. And then I did like how he it was like a very momentary battle mech that kind of like claimed him some map dominance. And then he just takes the center, sieges up, and Scarlett's comp was not really what you want to use against that. So, I mean, kudos to TY for that play, but I don't think that this is representative of the rest of the series, this game.
I do agree. By the way, TY doing a pretty damn good job with that battle mech setup into the Banshee harass. You know, it's so funny.
Those 3 Banshees over the base were so important.
Well, that's, I think, really when the game started to be lost for Scarlett.
Yeah.
It wasn't with the Hellbats coming in the front, the drops, everything else. I thought Scarlett handled that fine. It was when we got all the way to that late part of the game, she just wasn't really, I mean, there's so much attention was going to that big push that she got blindsided by the Banshees hitting that other base, kind of panicked, and ultimately fell apart. And that's why we have a best of 5.
Yeah.
Because you got to win at least 3 games against your opponent.
That's a tough one, though. Ascension to Eye are generally considered a good map for Zerg because it is so big. Now we're on Abyssal Reef. This is one where if TY wants to go mech again, he's got like 5 free bases.
You're absolutely right. And game number 2 is ready. This is Abyssal Reef, TY versus Scarlett. In the upper left, in the blue, our Terran player from Korea. He is
Splice TY.
in the bottom right, in the red, from Canada. She is
Team Expert, Scarlett.
Okay. Hoping to see some great play here. Looks like a pull first out of Scarlett. And
will Scarlett
no
do
gas
anything cheesy this
I think this might be the one where you like run Lings around, and when the Reaper leaves the base, you try to screw with the CC that's building on low ground, perhaps. And this also could be some sort of like, sometimes when you see him go like spawning pool with the later gases, that can mean roaches occasionally. But we'll see. Like, it's hard to break TY early with Zerg. Zerg is not that great at cheesing Terran out in the early game when you get to this top pro level.
Yeah, in this matchup specifically, Terran is not very flimsy at all. In fact, Terran kind of has all the tools at their disposal to be okay.
Yeah.
At the start. We've seen some weird builds come out, though. I mean, we did see Sue with that signature I'm crazy here, 3 Ravagers deal with it.
The one that never works?
The one that never works, but we always get excited when it happens, and then eventually it's stopped.
Totally.
But yeah, I don't know, especially against TY, who's kind of, I do feel like in every part of a Terran game, TY knows exactly what he should have and what his opponent should have.
Yeah.
And he just responds
Well, when you have
very
like,
well. Like, you know when we see him gun down the Observer every time in a TvP?
Yeah.
Like, you know, he goes out in the middle of the map and he's like, okay, the Observer's going to be here, scans and kills it. He's like, then he looks into the camera and he says, if this was ladder, the guy would call me a hacker.
Yeah.
Wins the game 10 minutes later.
If this is ladder and you're playing TY and you are a pro gamer because your MMR is that high,
Yeah.
this is not a lie.
Oh my God, the Lings got in.
Yeah, look at that.
They both got
Very,
in.
very
Both
annoying.
pairs of Lings get in.
This type of move.
Look at this.
that. The Link's just trying to delay just the building of everything here.
Well, it's actually working. Oh!
I
Oh,
took-
look at that one Ling die. Just floats up.
I tell you, if this was StarCraft 1 right now, there'd be 3 dead SCVs.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
No,
would
this
be
is
really rough.
StarCraft 1. There'd be another 8 Lings already in your base
Yeah, that's
after
true.
those ones get in there, and you would be dead for
Yeah.
sure.
But, you know, that's kind of what this build does, is gets around the Reaper,
Right.
delays that command center for a bit, kills a Marine or 2, delays the factory just a little bit. You know, she's throwing TY off of his game a little bit. But TY is not someone who ever panics. I think I would love to put heart rate monitors. DreamHack had that great idea, but it was before its time. I want heart rate monitors on the pros.
I don't know.
You don't know about having heart rate monitors on
No,
pros?
I don't. Well, I don't know. I
Okay,
mean,
explain your viewpoint here.
okay, well, didn't we try this? Then we found out that some players who smoke just had really high heart rates because they had smoked before the match, and we could be like, "Oh, he's so freaked out." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, actually, this doesn't really. We're kind of like reading into something that maybe doesn't really have that much merit. Maybe we're gonna find out that one of these guys has like arrhythmia or something. And it's like, well, this is just kind of awkward. I'm sorry. This is like medical information. I don't know, Artel.
I don't think we have too many arithmetic pro gamers. But
excellent usage of the word arithmetic, by the way.
No, you're no problem. But look, I would like to see that because TY, like, there isn't really a more calm pro gamer, and it's not like he's emotionless because we sometimes joke about some players being emotionless. Not that he shows a ton of emotion, but like he's got like 10 years experience. He's been doing this since he's 12. No matter what position he gets into, he just is kind of chill and playing his best, you know?
Yeah, he's definitely in the zone. He's completely natural when he's in these matches. And yeah, a lot of people.
He's organic.
He's organic. Yeah, he's grass-fed. He's
grass-fed.
Cage-free.
I do love it.
Oh my God!
Oh no!
That was a lot of damage.
And now look at this. Hellions into the main. Oh jeez.
That was like the perfect shot.
Yeah.
That hit everything. You know, we're so used to seeing these harass plays. 15 now. Oh.
Okay,
man.
so at this moment, the one thing I do have to bring up, and I'm sorry I have to do it, guys. Scarlett is a little bit of an emotional player.
Yeah.
She does go on tilt when things go wrong.
Oh my God!
Okay,
25.
Nothing could have gone wrong more than what has gone wrong. 25
it was actually
drones
like,
dead.
Some of that was also just like the complete and total perfect Widow Mine hits.
Yeah. And Scarlett's one of the top players in the world, one of the top players on the ladder. She plays against TY, Innovation, Beyond Maru, all these guys.
Yeah.
Plenty. I guarantee this almost never happens on ladder. And the fact that she lost game 1 and she never actually did damage to TY, and now she's lost 25 drones early on, she could be having a hard time inside of her own head right now because we've seen this before. Even when she can get into a lead, if something goes wrong, then suddenly we see sometimes like she'll leave the game earlier than maybe we think she should, or make a bad decision here or there, maybe cheese when she shouldn't. You know,
game 1 was close, but losing that many workers, Scarlett has been rocked.
Yeah.
In this boxing match, so I'm a little bit scared for her because the follow-up push will have a lot of muscle, it'll have a lot of momentum, and that's going to be very difficult to deal with. Liberator's now coming out.
Yeah.
Is this the first Liberator to come out, Artosis?
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is.
So we had 25 drones killed in a course of about, I think it was 20 seconds before the first Liberator came in. Think about that.
It's incredibly rough, and she's like re-droning, and she got an infestation pit, so that might be one of her comeback mechanics at this point. Like maybe get some infestors out to try to help fungal growth, stuff like that. But you look at TY and the amount that he understands what he needs to do. He's seen roaches. He knows he's way ahead. He's just sitting here making siege tanks, my friend.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, if you have a bunch of siege tanks on Abyssal and you're pushing against someone who went roaches, you're in a good spot.
Yes, that is
Let me double
very
check.
true.
Yep, no, that's still true.
For TY, things could not be going better. He's up 1-0. He's definitely already won some battles here. He may be close to winning the war in Game 2. Swarm hosts now coming out, 9 of them, 10 of them.
Now, this is against Bio. Now, I haven't actually seen if she's completely aware that this is not mech, but in fact, no, she must know because the eBays are up at the front, right? So she should know. So this is definitely uncommon, but Swarm hosts can be very efficient, very cost efficient. Maybe this is her comeback mechanic.
The only thing you want to be careful about against Bio with Swarm hosts is that, the Marines have a lot more agility.
Yeah.
And the Swarm hosts, if they're caught in the wrong spot, can die right away. Even though there are some kind of mobile mech styles, if it's not, it's nowhere near as fluid as just watching Marines move around the map. If you corner those Swarm hosts and gun them down with stim, that's going to be bad. And Scarlett's actually going around. I think she wants to blindside the second base.
Yeah, and hey, the eBays are there. It looks like 1-1 is finishing just before she's going to launch. That would have been sick, though. Like, if you prevent 1-1, that's like the move of the tournament thus far. But, okay, here we go. Going in and just kind of letting them attack whatever. Going to be able to take down these eBays at least. I mean, this is not bad at all.
This is great. And, this is free units taking out important upgrades, which really punish the player in the long late game. So, nicely done by Scarlett. Now, I don't know if she's going to try that again because that's definitely a trick. The more times you try it, the less likely it is to work.
But, with Roaches, Ravagers, Fungal Growth, and Swarm hosts
Oh, my God! Oh. This is what we were talking about, guys. Now, the Swarm hosts, they are so expensive that each one that you lose is a disaster. And that was about half the Swarm hosts right there.
Well, yeah, that was quite a few Swarm hosts going down, unfortunately. To get caught in this position when you're really trying to use these to gain some value back from all your lost drones, definitely not a good thing. It does not herald well for how Scarlett's going to do throughout this game, but still, she's got a good set of units here. And this style is something that no one's really used to. I've only seen Ayasanu play anything like this before.
That was some great fungals there. Let's see if TY can make this work. TY's all the way in the center right up side of the map. This is not an easy location to retreat from. Oh, great corrosive biles there. In fact, if she gets one or two more good fungals and corrosive biles, I think she can actually take this. Raven goes down.
And now the Swarm hosts are going to have a few Locusts up here as well. Against Siege tanks, they definitely can be valuable. The Locusts trying to use those to cover herself going in right now.
Yeah, Scarlett's got this fight.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the Siege tanks, if you take all these down, then suddenly...
Well, hold on, reinforcements
Scarlett
are here.
has some hope.
Okay, but again, the corrosive bile is actually connecting pretty damn well. I'm a little bit worried about these Stim Marines, though. We need to get another set of Swarm host Locusts coming out now. Again, each unit, the Ravager and the Swarm host, is incredibly valuable. You really cannot afford to lose any of them.
And she's lost quite a few at this point. Still making some Infestors and some Roaches. Has those Swarm hosts out. They're not on cooldown right now. And, Scarlett's sitting here on 3 base fighting against 4. So even though we saw some cool battles there and whatever, well, now it's even going to be a 5 base TY. And that's just, it's making this very difficult for Scarlett. You have to be unbelievably cost efficient to battle back from a position like this.
This is a lot like we see Innovation play. You see these fights, sometimes you could be watching it from one perspective, be cheering for the Zerg and thinking, okay, they're still holding it off, but then you go back on the other side of the map and say, oh my God, while that was going on, Terran grew to be even bigger than the Zerg, which Zerg can never allow to have happen.
Okay, so some burrow usage here of those Swarm hosts, getting the Locusts into the natural once again. So I like the move. It's very cool. In fact, oh, look at that. TY is stimming, trying to chase down Swarm hosts that aren't there.
Yeah. Well, this might stay here for a little bit longer. The longer it stays there, the more likely it is it'll eventually be spotted and punished.
He's realized that they're burrowed, just not where.
Okay, TY might be able to come up there and take that out now. Meanwhile, Scarlett is moving out on the map. I don't believe Scarlett's going to do a full-on engage, but let's see. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think Scarlett actually is going to come in here and do an attack. TY may be preoccupied right now with trying to find those Swarm hosts, which, again, another wave of Locusts comes out.
I am liking this. That is some additional damage right there. Going to be able to take down some depots, get some turrets and whatnot. I think TY has figured it out, though, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, comes up here. These Swarm hosts will go down. I don't believe Scarlett has enough to break the position south of here either. She's actually turning around. Now, That was a lot of supply that was freed up by those swarm hosts, but Scarlett apparently is going to remake more swarm hosts instead of trying to switch tech into something else.
Yeah, going up to Hive as well. A decent amount of infestors out, so you get a good fungal off, a few good vials and whatever. That's like pretty awesome. Let's see. Oh! Wildly good fungal growth goes off right there, and then a missed one, but that first one definitely worth something.
Wow, that could not have been better. I think that took up the entire area that Fungal can capture, basically. A drop has been shut down here, and it looks like this other drop is actually going to be taken out. Well, it has to target that medevac first, and he does not. She does not. So the stim comes in now. Meanwhile, TY does want to push across the map here. Both players pretty even in supply.
Yeah, let's not forget there's a lot of roaches in Scarlett's supply, so definitely you have to like kind of weigh that in on how powerful her army actually is. Little counterattack going on right now as well. Another fungal goes down, an okay one, and a lot of SCVs dying as well, but look at TY's worker count. Like, you've killed 17, he's got 76 left. This guy is sitting around 90 workers.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing is, even though you kill that many workers, very rarely, or not even really ever, would you be like, wait a minute, something's wrong. I only have 64 workers. I've only got 75 workers now. That's the problem. So serious macro engines on both sides. And again, great fungals with the corrosive vials. If you can trade energy to take out their units, you're always in a good spot.
Yeah. Over the long term, that is just about the best you can do in this game. But the long term doesn't matter if TY finishes the game right here.
Yeah, that's very true. Scarlett needs to hold on. We may be getting to the climax of this game. Okay, great Roach counterattack. Keep in mind, TY's maxed out, so only the units he has here can help defend.
Liberator coming back, trying to get something done here. Of course, burrow movement is live for these Roaches as well. Look at that, a burrow next to a turret that causes a scan. I love this because you can tell how quickly they're playing. Look at those APMs, 300, 400 APM. Just like, oh, I got to deal with this right now because I'm doing too many other things.
Very nicely done, though. Scarlett actually forced the Terran to turn around some of their army. If she keeps getting a few more corrosive vials and fungals connecting, I think actually TY is starting to take a little bit more damage than Scarlett is. This game may end up like the last game, though, where TY holds his position in the middle of the map and eventually hits from a bunch of other different angles, and the game falls apart.
Oh, this is so fungal-based right now. If you are not hitting fungals as Scarlett, you are not holding on. So if she can continue that, I could definitely see it going extra long, but TY continues to press in.
Okay, Roach is coming up from the north here, and it looks like Scarlett wants to try to do a full-on surround. Great fungals once again, but some of the Ravagers pulled back and not firing, using that artillery to try to connect with that army. This is such a weird fight. Look at this. Like at the top, Zerg's basically swallowing up everything. Scarlett retreating, though. Now the hatchery is at risk of actually being taken out. Does TY have too much?
A lot of Siege Shanks were killed off there. 10 more Roaches on the way, but this base will end up falling. So that's 2 bases gone, down to 3 again, while TY remains at 70-plus workers and 5 bases.
Okay, moments like this, you do have to go back and check where the supply is at for both sides and see that TY is basically still maxed out, while Scarlett may not even have enough to stop the rest of this push. No matter how fancy the fungals are and the corrosive vials, ultimately, that sheer number of units can walk over you.
Well, you know, even if you do kill this army, with the huge economy TY has, another one's going to be coming your way 100% of the time. Now, a great fungal goes down, some nice corrosive vials as well, all over them. These fungals are crazy good.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, these fungals are crazy good enough to possibly hold this. Let's see. But the hatchery still may be picked off, causing problems later on in this game. Remember, every time you lose that hatchery, you're not just mining from there, you're losing production as well, whereas nothing is harming TY back at home at all.
And Scarlett continues to hold, but she's on 2 bases right now, her main and her natural. So even if she kills this so efficiently, TY just makes another round and sends it, makes another round and sends it. And eventually you're not going to have enough as Scarlett.
Yeah, we may actually see Scarlett tap out before the next big fight. If you're just to look at this from Scarlett's position, you've been so beaten up, and now the swarm hosts that were trying to delay that inevitable push have been picked off as well. All TY has to do is rinse and repeat, and TY will have a 2-0 lead over Scarlett.
Yeah, it seems really inevitable at this point. You can't not have an economy as Zerg, no matter how cost efficient you're being here. TY coming in, spreading and stimming once again. Infested Terrans being thrown into the battle. That's when you know it's just about over. No energy left for Fungals. And this should be a GG coming out of Scarlett.
There it is. GG. TY takes game number 2.
All right, TY looking very much on point, but, you know, if you drop, you know, just a few handfuls of units like mines and stuff and get 25 kills right off the bat.
Yeah, that was a pretty. I mean, he rolled 7s every time when those drops came in there.
No one in the world's coming back from that against you. Nobody.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, sometimes we see skirmishes and we're like, okay, not bad, 5 drones per kill, but 25, and it was the first initial connection with those that first Widow mine. I mean,
yeah, it's like 10 kills.
10 kills, the perfect Widow mine.
Yeah. Well, you know, to be fair, Scarlett fought back better than I think anyone ever could or would. Like, that was Stark level fighting back from way behind. She did fantastically with the fight back. It's just too much damage early game. Here's the question. Can she grasp the reins here and actually fight back? TY gets reverse swept a hell of a lot of the time. The last 3 big tournaments he's been in, he's been up 2-0 in a best of 5 and gotten reverse swept. He gets a little bit complacent after wrecking Nerds 2-0. This kid, if there was only best of 3s, TY would have won every tournament this year.
I believe one of our players has requested a short break, I think restroom break, so we'll be up here.
Okay.
You can see we went for the catch-up mustard-themed look here for us today. But
the condiment.
That's right.
The Arcondiment.
I was going to say the condiment Archon
the
here.
casting Arcondiment.
Look, you do have a point that people do come back against TY with, you know, sometimes a clean sweep, but I'm a little bit worried for Scarlett. Game 2 was more of a brutal loss than even Game 1.
Yeah.
Game 1 really came down to her getting caught off guard. Game 2 was that harass was so good at the start, and also, you know, the way that TY wins sometimes isn't exactly that fancy. For instance, he pushed Scarlett exactly to the point where she had not enough bases to win and withdrew, gathered up again, and pushed it a little bit further. And while TY is expanding that whole time, I mean, TY is just a clean player, and that's really frustrating to play against.
And I think both these games were frustrating for her. So can Scarlett kind of buckle down and play her best games? Because if she plays her best games, we could go to Game 5, absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely.
This next map, though, Newkirk Precinct, you know, we were talking about this one specifically before the match. TY will split this thing right in half, go into Ghost, and play the game of his life. It's a hard
you
map
can do.
against him.
Yeah, a lot of times in a StarCraft map, you do not have to do anything to actually try to kill them early on.
Yeah.
You just have to acquire half the map, especially against Zerg. They always have a hard time against this because then you end up with Zerg players. Smooth move, Roddy, walking in front of our camera.
That guy knows what he's doing.
But you sometimes can do this where you end up taking half the map, and then Zerg, because they have to expand close to you, when they take their half the map, you just keep poking in and eventually wear them out. Will that happen this time? I don't know, but it's definitely a possibility on Game 3.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about your hand brace, by the way, and how it's so tough.
Just so you guys know, my hand's fine. This is a fashion brace, okay?
Yeah, it's a fashion
Everybody's going to
brace.
be wearing these in 3 years. You watch. You're all laughing now, but this is super.
And it has to be frustrating that you can't play StarCraft, but I just thought of it.
Yeah.
Just get one of those
Look at
Apple mice that only has one button.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
fine.
perfect.
It's no
sorry,
problem.
I stabbed you with my cast. Yeah, this is actually from Too Much Gaming, as you can see here. Look at that. See the injury?
But now when you point at something, when someone does something crazy, you can go, whoa, and it really, like, just, ooh.
I feel like when I wear this thing, I have, like, what are those?
Go to the club and just go like this.
Or like I'm always pointing up. Or what are those things they have at baseball games? It's like the hand going up.
Hand.
I feel like I got one of those. I'm hoping Scarlett can come back.
I hope so. I don't want to just see a 3-0 by TY.
By the way, can I point something out? Mike on the wrong side of the face for the first time ever in the GSL, covered in my mouth. I am a mess today.
Oh, my God. Someone killed 25 of your drones at the beginning of this cast. It's hard to come back from this one, too.
Yes, this is true. Newkirk Precinct, again, the map does pose a fundamental problem for late-game CVT. Will Scarlett try to play around that by perhaps shutting the Terran down at a specific point, maybe doing some kind of a timing attack? That's a tough player to do against, though. TY, that guy is stable as ever.
No, he truly is. So, I am hoping, crossing my fingers, Scarlett can get something done.
All right, guys, let's do this. Let's get hyped. Game number 3, Newkirk Precinct, TY versus Scarlett. In the bottom left, in the blue, our Terran player with a 2-0 lead, he is
Splice TY.
in the bottom right, in the red. She needs to come back in 3 games in a row. From Canada, she is
Team Expert, Scarlett.
Well, quite a test indeed. But people have done it against TY a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I think that this goes back to what I was saying about the heart monitor, to be honest, Tasteless. I think he just, the guy never feels pressure. He's never stressed. He's just kind of, you know, he's got so much experience. He's seen it all. He's won like 300 grand this year. He's based, man. He's just like chilling.
Well, you know, I do feel like TY is one of these people, and you'll meet these people, whether, you know, anywhere in the world, but has never experienced anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Some people are like, oh, yeah, that's horrible. But he's like, no, I have no idea what that is. Why would I be stressed out?
Yeah. Well, he grew up like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that Toddlers and Tiaras show. He's basically a toddler in tiaras. He's like a pro gamer that was a pro gamer since before he started to really develop into a human.
Well, it was his first match at 11, or?
He got drafted at 11 or 12, like 10 years ago, basically.
Well, you know, it's funny because I used to cast some of his games in StarCraft 1, and then, you know, I think it was when we were casting StarCraft 2, he hadn't switched over, and then he came in the studio one time, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a man now.
Yeah,
that was crazy. I was not, I was just, whoa, he totally grew up. That's crazy. Okay. This is kind of an interesting thing to talk about here just on the side, is the fact that we're finally at the point with esports, even though it's a fairly new thing, it's old enough that we have somebody who basically just grew up playing this. Like, they were young enough.
I watched Nada's first pro games, and he was a little kid. And recently I ran into him with his wife and daughter when I had my wife and daughter at an amusement park. Yeah. And I just look at him like, we've gotten old, man. This is crazy. What happened?
Everybody grew up.
Yeah. And
now we got young TYs down here.
Yeah, these StarCraft 2 pros, the same thing's going to happen, Tasteless, because you and I will never truly grow up. We will always just try to cast video games.
Yes, this is true, man.
You can't tell me what to do, Mom!
We just got to keep this con going for as long as we can. But yeah, I mean, you look at somebody like TY, and he's just kind of perfectly made to succeed in an atmosphere and an environment like this. But Scarlett's been getting better and better.
Yeah.
Let's take this series game by game, rather than try to take the big overarching picture of, oh my God, can Scarlett win 3 games in a row? I think if you're in Scarlett's position, you have to look at this step by step.
Yeah, I agree.
First thing I do is win game number 3. I'm not thinking about game 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Because also I feel like, at least with the way these two players are playing, it's not like they're trying to build order counter each other. It's not even like they really can try to build order counter each other.
True.
There's a lot more grit that's involved in ZVT compared to some of the other matchups.
That's a very good way to say it.
Yeah. It's a lot more like you just got to keep making units. You got to keep fighting. You got to know when to attack. You got to know when to retreat. You need to know when you can pounce. You need to know when you have to give up.
If no one gets wrecked early game, like we saw in the last game where 25 drones fall, then it kind of turns into that. Can you persevere? Can you, like, how solid are you going to be? How smart are your moves going to be? That's part of why TY is so scary, you know?
Yeah,
like, I didn't kill a bunch of drones. That's fine. I'll just make perfect decisions.
Well, he's just such a tenacious guy. It seems like the very best Terran players in the world they just keep pushing. They're just in your face the entire game. We do have the Hellion drop coming in here now. And we'll see how many workers this does or does not kill.
Ooh, this is not the first time he's done this against Scarlett, and it is doing some significant damage.
Okay, already 7 workers killed. Pick up and escape. So Terran basically getting 7 workers for free. No sacrifices made there.
Yeah, that's really good for TY as far as the opener goes. Scarlett cannot be happy after that being her opening. 7 drones falling immediately, but it's not over. You know, that's not like a straight victory after 7 drone kills. She's got some decent creep spread. Hopefully she doesn't take too much more, but oh my God, here come the aliens once again.
Again, TY knowing exactly what a pullback picks up, knowing that instead of overextending, just look for an opportunity later on. Helliot's now going to get dropped back over here to poke into these lanes, which are basically exposed for the time being. Now the Queens have come in here. I think that Helliot, I believe he should actually send that medevac back to get repaired rather than try to take any more risks. Scarlett is definitely going to be vigilant, trying to find out where that next drop is. Something happened there. Okay, it was an auto turret. I figured it out, guys. I'm on top of this.
Wow, that was really well done.
That was a Terran explosion for sure.
Are you sure those Lings didn't kill a point defense drone too?
We'll never know for sure. Unless we check the replay.
Yeah.
So
the replay file's corrupt.
Oh my God, it's just lost in history. This is like when they burned down the Library of Alexandria Artosis.
It's the same level of loss.
The same level of loss.
Sure.
We'll never know. Okay, once again, auto turrets. No, actually, TY backs up, hoping that maybe later on there'll be less units there to defend that. Especially if there's a big fight that picks up. Sometimes it's more worth it. They knew they were fighting in the middle of the map. That's when you send the auto turrets in there. And then the real victory is someplace where their screen never was.
Yes, very, very true about that. And we've seen that from Scarlett already, where occasionally there'll be something like that Hellion drop, and she just doesn't see it till it starts attacking, and that's too late. Okay, so it looks like we will probably see Hydraling Bane from Scarlett. Not a bad choice at all. But again, the push distance on this map, not too far. So if TY starts his siege tanks relatively early, a lot of times you can hit a push before Ultras or Broods, because if you're just Hydraling Bane against a lot of siege tanks, like from 2 factories, you know, they can start getting 6 and then 8, that becomes a push that is just, it's too expensive for you to stop as the Zerg player with this composition.
Yeah, very true. Note the expansion that Scarlett took for the 4th. This is actually pretty important because there's 2 places, well actually 3, but usually the safest one is the top right. That's the hardest to push. But Scarlett, being aware that these bases that are closer to the center are harder to defend later on, she decides to take this one up here that's just now been scanned in the hopes that she can hold that off here, hold everything off here and mine some resources and be in good shape. But already TY pushing in. This is actually looking pretty troublesome.
Yeah.
6 drones killed with auto turrets.
Yeah, very well done. In the meantime, looks like finally we'll clean up at least those Hellbats, but a couple mines still being left. Luckily, that hatchery not being forced to cancel quite yet.
Pretty cool trick there with TY picking up the Marines and leaving the Hellbats on the ground in the hopes the Banelings wouldn't be pulled back. In some cases, they were not. Connecting on the Hellbats, he can then redrop and try to push it again, and that's exactly what we're going to see here.
Ooh, I love bringing this Raven over for the little alley-oop on kill and creep spread. Not having to use any scans there. TY using every single tool at his disposal, even a Liberator flying into the main base now. Scarlett not seeing it.
As you can see, TY with the mounting pressure, one of the best tactical players of all time, really making it tough for Scarlett here. And again, the real focal point of all this pressure is this base up here. And there's nothing here to defend, just the Queens, 3 of them already gunned down in a matter of seconds.
Oh my God, that hatchery is almost dead.
Oh my God, well,
the second one not as
second
much.
one was not as worthy of
He did it!
That was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And I think what TY is going to do is come in here and give a few more jabs. And there's a chance eventually this base is run over.
Yeah, it feels like it will be. It's already very low in health, so you get Scarlett out of position at all, you definitely can snipe it down. Now a siege tank is in production, but that's not a lot quite yet, so Scarlett might be able to
hold up. No, he's hitting right before Scarlett's Banelings are actually done. Another auto turret comes down. I'm not clear exactly how much damage was traded there. It looks like the majority of those units did manage to escape.
TY thinking that would have been moved back. Auto turret's still getting a little bit of damage done here at least in this drop in the main.
I feel like if you look at the supplies and just how many battles are going on everywhere, I think Scarlett might be at the breaking point. Look at this perfect control from TY. 2 more Banelings gunned down, and it's Marines versus Hydras.
Dude, I don't care that he hasn't won every tournament this year. TY
is
to
so
me,
good.
Seriously, this year I think he's the best player in the world. The play I'm seeing here, I'm like, if you just saw some of these micro moves and the multitasking, you might think it was one of the other horsemen. He's not known for this, but he's delivering that level of play while being strategically so tight.
And it's funny because when TY plays, it's so straightforward too.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like with Beyond's playing where we're going bananas because he's microing everything perfectly. It's like, that's definitely the right move there. Okay, that's a good place to drop because of what we saw happening over here. Oh, right, yeah, you got a Raven back there. Sure, let's put an auto turret behind the workers.
Yeah.
And what TY is doing in the long run is really just bleeding Scarlett out. It's now 134 supply to 170. TY is a few deep goals away from completely maxing out and then pushing in again.
He is as close to like perfect as you can get. I feel like it's so crazy watching him here and having the fact that Scarlett can put out fantastic games against Innovation and then just TY is just looking so completely unbeatable.
If this base goes down, I don't think that Scarlett can come back.
Yeah,
I think that we're in that exact position where now it's TY with 4 bases and Scarlett with 3, and this is sort of the breaking point here for Zerg. Now Scarlett may try to engage this, but a Zerg with lower supply and a Terran that already has the Widow Mines and Siege Tanks and Liberators in position, you could pretty much bet that Zerg will not win that fight. That's why it's so important for Zerg to deny Terran ever getting that position.
I'm looking at this stasis, this many siege tanks, the amount of harass we have everywhere at all moments, and the doubling of army supply. We might be having our first 3-0 of the day.
Yeah, I think you're right, Artosis. This is tough. And notice, TY is so patient. He takes another base.
Yeah.
Then he starts to push. He says, okay, get even more ahead. He spreads out. Scarlett ambitiously taking his base just down here. Now, there's a lot of Hydras. Is it going to be enough, though? The Siege Tank splash is going to start stacking up. That's it. GG. TY 3-0 Scarlett.
With just unreal good play. He looks so unbeatable every time I watch him play, man. But then, of course, he loses eventually.